A list component is similar to a choice component in that it displays a list of items for selection by the mouse. However, the list is a bit different in that it uses a scroll bar instead of a pull down to provide access to the whole list, and it's capable of being used to select from a longer list and select more than one item at a time. This program was devised to demonstrate how a list component works. We're going to use a button as part of this demo program, so it's necessary to implement the action listener interface. A list object can be instructed to report selections to the item changed method, just like a choice. Well, sort of just like a choice. This is the make panel method that creates the panel and its components. The constructor of the list requires an integer value. This list object will display 5 items at a time. When there are more than the number specified, as in this example, a scroll bar will appear providing access to all of them. But at any one time, there will never be more than 5 displayed. This item listener object is added to the list of item listeners inside the list component. That is, when anything in the list component is either selected or deselected, a call will be made to the method item state changed. 10 items are inserted into the selectable list by repeatedly calling the add method of the list. There is also a remove method that allows you to take selectable strings out of the list. So, if you wish, you can add and delete things while the list is being displayed. A push button named toggle is added to the panel. It's going to be used to toggle between the 2 modes of operation of the list component. The mode label is created to display the current mode of operation of the list component. The default operation is to allow only one item at a time to be selected, but the list component can be set to allow the simultaneous selection of several or all of its items. Notice that this string is padded out with blanks to assure that the longer line of text, which may be inserted in the label later, will not require that the label be resized. There are better ways to avoid this size problem, and we'll be getting into that when we get to the chapter on layout managers and start using something other than the flow layout manager. This is the method that's called whenever the button is pushed. We start off by checking to see which button has been pressed. While this is unnecessary when there is only one button, it doesn't hurt to include the code here, because if you don't do this, the very first change you'll have to make to the program is to add another button for something. It's one of those Murphy's Law things. Anyway, we check for this list being in multiple mode. If it is set to allow multiple selections, the multiple selection capability is turned off and the text of the label is modified to reflect the new state. On the other hand, if we are in single mode, the mode is switched to multiple and the label is updated to show that. Now this method is called every time an item in the list is selected or deselected. If the list is in the mode for multiple selections, the getSelectedItems method is called, which returns a string array object containing the text of all the selected items. A loop is used to display all the strings in the array. If, on the other hand, the list is in single selection mode, the selected item can be retrieved by a call to getSelectedItem, and it's displayed to the output. Notice the call that's made to systemoutPrintln in both cases without any argument being passed to it. This special form of the method simply outputs a new line character, scrolling the display up one line with nothing being shown on it. It's done here to make it easier to see what's happening on each selection and deselection. Now, here's what the program looks like. The list component doesn't manage a pull-down window, as was done in the choice component. Instead, the list component sizes itself to contain the number of entries that were specified on the constructor. Then it provides a scroll bar access to the rest of them. If this button is pressed, the list switches to multiple mode. Now, when a selection is made, it's in addition to whatever is already selected. And you can deselect individual entries, leaving the rest of the list intact. The list component is actually more flexible and has more methods than the choice component. So if you need to do something special, you may want to start by looking through the methods made available by the list component. Oh, by the way, when you're reading the documentation on the list and on other components, you'll see references made to the peer object. The peer is the special internal object that talks directly with a native component on this particular operating system. It's the abstracting object that does all the low-level work for you.